I mentioned Patrolman Jimmy Valentine in my last video, but I think he deserves his own video. He was a patrolman who worked the 8 to 4 p.m. shift, and one of his sergeants was Gerald Hill, though of course at the time of the assassination, Gerald Hill was on special assignment. And now I'm going to just quickly review what I said about Valentine in my last video. On the day of the assassination, Valentine drove car 207, and here he is seen delivering Jerry Hill to the Texas School Book Depository building after the assassination. And car 207 is the same car that Earlene Roberts saw outside the house honking the horn while Lee Harvey Oswald was in his room at about 1 o'clock after the assassination. And 35 minutes before the assassination, Jimmy Valentine seemed to know in advance that his car 207, would be needed soon, and he was wondering whether or not he was actually going to pick up the shoplifter. And of course, Valentine denied that either he or his car had gone to Oak Cliff that day. That's the quick review. Now here, inserted into this picture of Jimmy Valentine at the Texas School Book Depository, I have two detailed frames of a film taken in Oak Cliff during the search for Tippett's assailant. And Sergeant Jerry Hill is there in the white shirt, not wearing a hat. And I'm suspicious that the police officer in uniform there is actually Valentine, but I can't prove that, not even to my own satisfaction. But I think Valentine probably did drive to Oak Cliff. Probably he drove Jerry Hill to Oak Cliff, and so I think that might be him. So this photograph, the focus of today's video, shows Jimmy Valentine standing guard on the 6th floor, which is what he supposedly did after he helped to search the building. In addition to that photograph, we have two more showing Valentine standing in that same spot, and he's pointing out where the rifle was found here in the picture on the left, or I guess in both pictures that's what he's doing. And these two photos are attributed to William Allen, and we even have access to the negative strip, which has been produced as a positive here. I think it's the 6th floor museum that has it. And we can see on this negative strip those two photographs, and we can also see that included in these two photographs are pictures of Lieutenant Day. And it's pretty obvious from the photos of Lieutenant Day that this is not during the initial search of the building, otherwise you'd have cops running all over the place. Things have quieted down quite a bit by the time these photos were taken. And here I've done a cut and paste with this FBI report so that I can just demonstrate where Lieutenant Day was at what time. Of course, he was in the building from about a little after 1, and he said he returned to the Identification Bureau at 2 o'clock. And then he says he goes back to the building about 2:45. So what this means is these photographs taken by William Allen of Lieutenant Day could not have been taken before 2:45, and those were taken before Valentine. So these photos only prove that Valentine was here at some point after 2:45. They don't prove anything about whether he may have driven car 207 to Oak Cliff, because the Oak Cliff action occurred around 1 o'clock and was over by 2 o'clock. So these photos, these two Allen photos of Valentine, do not prove that he was at the Texas School Book Depository during the time of the Oak Cliff adventure. But this photo is different. It's not an Allen photo. According to the University of Texas at Arlington Digital Gallery, this photo comes from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, and very weirdly says that it was created on November 26, 1963. That's 4 days after the assassination. And while you ponder that, take a look at this. Somehow, the window, which is behind the support column, actually overlaps the support column. I think that's something strange going on with that. And then look at, I've got circled in blue all of these little dark corners in the windows. Those aren't in the building, but they're in this photograph. And notice they're not in every corner of the window. They're only in diagonal opposites, with the upper corner being on the left-hand side and the lower corner being on the right-hand side. But the other two corners, none of them have these dark triangular shapes in the corners. And very mysteriously, one of these corners is not a corner in the window. It's a corner where the window comes to the edge of the no smoking sign. So that little triangular dark spot isn't, if it's in the window, it's on the middle of the window. See, it's not, these triangular dark spots are not associated really with the corners of the windows. They're associated with the corners of where the light is. So it has something to do with that light being there. And here, circled in red, the window, which is behind the sign, somehow clips off the corner of the sign, which is not possible unless something funny is going on. And on the right here, I've got that same sign from the other side from some other photograph. And you can see the green line there is a straight line drawn. It's not exactly parallel to the top of the sign, but I put that there to demonstrate that that sign doesn't really have that corner missing. It's only missing in this one photo of Valentine, taken apparently on the 26th of November. And you can see it's the same sign because on the other side there's a corner of the sign that's been broken off, and that's the same. But clearly the other side of the sign, where I have the red circle, that's not the same. Something funny is going on in our Valentine photo. So what this means is that this light was added photographically using some kind of masking where they had these corners that show what they were doing. It's not a real... The CIA certainly didn't do this. They would do a better job than this. But the light was added to the windows. That light that we see in this photograph wasn't in the windows when the photograph was taken. It was added afterwards. Now here, comparing one of the Allen photos to this Fort Worth telegram photo, you can see in the Allen photo that that was taken with natural lighting. The cameraman, Allen, wasn't using a flash. He just used the lighting that was available there, and that's what the windows look like with natural lighting. The Fort Worth telegram photo on the right there, you can see that the light looks very different. And this is the camera had a flash unit on it, and what I've got circled there in red, that shows the shadow behind the no smoking sign, and that shadow is cast by the light coming from the camera, or maybe they have lights, I don't know, but whatever, there's a light source either by the camera or towards where the camera is that creates that shadow on the behind the no smoking sign, and that's what illuminates Valentine. But the light to the windows was added afterwards. So this photograph could have been taken at midnight. It could have been taken when it was dark outside, and if it really was taken on November 26th, they might have wanted to come by at night so there wouldn't be people, in their photograph or gawking at what they're doing. They might want to come by at night to take this photograph if they're going to fake it to make it look like it was taken in the daytime. And while I don't know how to check my theory about this light and shadow on this box I've circled, I'll bet you that the light comes in that window like that, probably around 1 o'clock to 1:30, because I think the point of this photograph was to prove that Valentine was at the Texas School Book Depository while the events were going on in Oak Cliff, so that it could be proven by this that he did not drive car 207 to Oak Cliff, as I think he probably did. So I think they probably determined where the light and shadow should fall on that box, and that was also added artificially. So the Allen photographs, because they had to be taken after 2:45 p.m., don't give Jimmy Valentine an alibi for Oak Cliff. The Fort Worth Telegram photograph, because it's faked and looks like it was taken 4 days after the assassination, doesn't give him an alibi either, and yet somebody went through the trouble to give him an alibi. And I think probably the reason is because he needed an alibi.